Welcome to Tent Talk, the podcast with Nancy McCready, where we talk about life under the big tent of God's presence and the provoking process of discipleship. Here we go.
If you have ever felt like things are going in the exact opposite direction of how you thought they were going to go, or things are not looking anything like what God has recently spoken to you, then this episode is yours. It is titled, Endure the Contradiction. Take a listen, and I hope it provokes you to go deeper with Him and to connect with me. Hey everybody, great to be together. So let's talk. Are we in wild days of great glory and great trouble, or what? So this word, as I've been thinking, keeps coming to me, and it's kind of an unusual word, but it's this word juggernaut. Juggernaut is defined as something huge, powerful, and overwhelming. It can be a huge, powerful, and overwhelming force or institution. So for the purposes of what I'm sharing with you today, a juggernaut of just being overwhelmed by the enormity of what's happening, maybe in your life, definitely within our nation right now. And oftentimes when a juggernaut is happening, like a tsunami of frustration, of overwhelming powerlessness that can come over us, we tend to respond usually in one of two ways, where we, in our overwhelming powerlessness, frustration, our hands just droop to our side, and literally we release the promises of God. They fall to the ground. We think, oh my goodness, it's over. Maybe even a juggernaut of personal accusations within your own, atmosphere within yourself. The enemy's coming at you personally, like a juggernaut of accusation within. Maybe it's the national situation right now because there's so much that seems to be unknown. The other end of the spectrum oftentimes is then we dig in deeper and we become, just determined in our own tenacity to barrel through. Yet I want to say to you that we have got to become discerning in these moments by practice. Like we have to live through this to really allow the development of discernment within us. And one of the things that I think is necessary during this time is we must endure the contradictions. We are enduring contradictions. And this is very well seen through something that I have been sharing a lot lately, like recently my entire time in Poland and many private conversations. And I have found that it has given people a picture of what is actually happening and has caused them to be able, if you will, in the midst of the juggernaut of what is happening, of these overwhelming circumstances, feelings, accusations, overwhelming powerlessness, has literally infused within them an endurance of the contradictions. So that picture that I've been sharing, that I believe is of very real things that are happening in us and in our nation, is the picture of arrows. If a archer is going to draw back his hand to the quiver and pull out an arrow, place it within the bow, all right, we all know that an arrow is to be shot out. But before that arrow can be shot out, now just think with me just for a moment, what has to happen? I want you to picture this in your God-given imagination. What has to happen? You have to pull back before you can shoot out. Now think about this. You're enduring the contradiction as you get ready to shoot out that arrow. You endure the contradiction, which is, I've got to pull this arrow back. It looks like it is going, and it is, in the exact opposite direction of where you want to shoot it out. And I believe that this pulling back time is a part of enduring the contradiction. So maybe you've received a prophetic word. Maybe you have been convinced that certain situations are going to happen. God has shown them to you. He has revealed them to you prophetically in the Word of God, and you're standing. But then all of a sudden, here comes the contradiction, and everything looks like it's going in the exact opposite direction. And again, what can happen? We droop our hands down. We become frustrated, discouraged. We may drop the arrow. We just let everything fall because we're like, well, what is this? I can't believe this. I thought it was going to look like this, and now it's looking the exact opposite. Or we become, again, very self-determined and tenacious, and we're going to force these things to happen. And we think that by our sheer will that we can make things happen according to what we thought they were going to look like. But it's very important that we recognize that we are an arrow in God's hands. We, the sons of God. In the scripture, arrows are likened unto children in the quivers of a father and in the hands of a father. And we have to be willing in this juggernaut of frustration, the juggernaut of contradiction. We must endure the contradiction. And here is why. It's not a matter of just drumming my fingers on something like I'm just waiting. Okay? No, this is a part of recognizing there is something happening during the contradiction. Trust is being truly developed, the very trust of Jesus Christ within us towards the Father. You do know that's the only hope of you trusting the Father, is that you abide and share in the very trust and faith of God. The faith of Jesus himself in the Father, in God.
For more information on Nancy, please visit nancymccready.com or follow her on social media at NBMcCready.
So we have to allow that. That's why in the pulling back of the arrow, everything that's not of Christ, is not of him, is going to fall to the wayside. All your human trust, your human tenacity, all of that. It has to fall away. Why? So that as he's pulling the arrow back and you're enduring the contradiction, there are certain things falling away so that the true faith in God, the true courage of Christ within you, the true ability to steel yourself mentally for the true shooting out into what God is wanting to do, all of that is what's getting developed. And so we must then realize that in the pulling back of the arrow, if you can again stay with me and picture this, is the pulling back of that arrow, the hand that's pulling back has to pass by the archer's mouth down to his chest. Boom, or to his shoulder area. He is pulling back, and then he's getting that trajectory set. And then when that right time comes, then boom, he releases the arrow, and the arrow is actually shot out because it endured the contradiction, all right, of going in the exact opposite direction. I want you to be encouraged today in the midst of things. You need to endure the contradiction. I know there's a juggernaut of frustration, a juggernaut of the unknown, of wanting to droop the hands or dig in and just be tenacious. But we must be those who realize that God is building trust within us. God is developing the mind of Christ within us. That we are being literally prepared right now in things that right now feel like a juggernaut. They feel so unbelievably frustrating and overwhelming. But my friends, we haven't seen anything yet. This time is small compared to where we're going, because God is using these days to build within us what we need for now and what we will need for the very near future, not just years away, but in the very near future. Remember, we're in real time engagement. So I want to say to you that when the enemy is throwing everything he can at you, your family, all right, and you just go up those levels, okay, you personally, your family, your home, your finances, your business, your church, your destiny, your future, all of these things, the nations, okay, you just keep going up. But I want you to understand that when the enemy is throwing everything at you, and is whispering within to you, it is always for this one purpose, which is to get you out of the Father's hands, get you out of that bow of God. He doesn't care if he uses failure or success to get you away from the Father. So here's what I want to say to you is that if you know the strategy of the enemy is to get you out of the Father's hands, that he wants to get you out of that place of oneness and abiding, here is what I say to you. Then your strategy is, no matter what is being thrown at you, no matter what feels like it's being lost or gained, whatever, is you stay on that path. You stay in the Father's hands. You abide, you remain, you continue. Because if you stay in his hands, enduring the contradiction, during the juggernaut of frustration and things looking exactly the opposite of what you thought they were going to look like, and you endure that in real faith, and you stay with him as he's pulling you back to himself, he's taking you deeper into his mouth, if you will, deeper into his heart, because this is what sets the trajectory of our lives, is the abiding oneness that we have. I only say what my Father is saying. I only do what he is doing. Right now, God is getting the trajectory of his sons set deep within each one for their specific shooting out, for their specific walking with him. So when the enemy is throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you, don't turn to the left and to the right to get tangled up in all of that. Remember, his strategy is to simply get you off the path. And if that's his strategy, then you need to make sure. Endure the contradiction, my friends, and stay with God. Abide, remain. I know it can be difficult. I know it can be painful, frustrating. I know that. Yet I must say to you, endure the contradiction and remain an arrow, a son in the hands of your Father for such a time as this. Then you will gain all the specifics of what you need for your particular life and assignment, to know how to intercede, how to walk, how to sit, how to stand. You gain your specific instructions as you stay with him, and your discernment will then become sharper, stronger, will cause you to be able to cut through what looks like an impossible juggernaut of obstacles and difficulties, because you will begin to cry out grace unto those things. You call out grace unto that juggernaut of powerful and overwhelming forces. Because, my friends, we've not seen anything yet. These are the days that we must know him, learn of him, trust him when everything seems contradictory. So, in this juggernaut of huge, powerful, and overwhelming forces, my friends, you are an arrow in the hands of your Father. He has placed you in his bow, and he is drawing you back to himself at levels you have never been before. So endure the contradiction, and do not be distracted by everything that is being thrown at you or whispered to you. Do not step off the path. Do not come out of the way, which is Christ himself. Stay, remain, abide. Lean into him. Don't dig into your own human tenacity. Lean into him. Lean into him. And he will speak to you and instruct you and cause you to remain and to fulfill all that he has written over your life, that he wants you and him to accomplish together in this hour of history. Be blessed today. Stay with him, my friends. Speak and declare that which he has given you. And let's contend for our lives, our generations, our nation, and the nations. I am so glad we were together today. I love you all. Until next time.
If you'd like information on how to book Nancy McCready for an event or speaking engagement, visit nancymccready.com.